Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back, one and all, to Jesus Christ. How am I forgetting this already? It's like friggin'. It's like the next number after 7. But let me just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's fucking hell. My friggin' memory is getting worse, but nevertheless, we are up to part 9 of our 30 band Royal Rumble extravaganza. That means, ladies and gentlemen, we are nearly a third of our way through our Rumble. Just like that. 8 awesome bands have come before, and now we are going to experience the whiff of a new challenger approaches. So, let's see what they got. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. Entry number 9 is on his way in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and... Oh. Slow when it's so ominous. Oh, that is. It's got a very sort of haunting Blood Brothers feel to it all. You feel it, don't you?
A man of holy war. Too many sides to you, don't know which anymore. So many full of life, but also filled with pain. Don't know just how many will live to breathe again. A life that's made to breathe destruction or defense. A mind that's fake corruption, bad or good intent. A wolf in sheep's clothing, a saintly or sinner. Or some that would believe a holy war winner. They fire up many shots and many parting blows. Their actions beyond the reason only God would know. And as he lies in heaven or it could be in hell, I feel this summer here. I'm looking for failure, but I don't know. I don't know. Please tell me now what life on the cross to die for all of those who never mourn his loss. It wasn't meant for us to feel the pain again. Tell me why. Tell me why.
Wow. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was For the Greater Good of God by Iron Maiden. I absolutely love... If you've been here around the block since almost the very beginning, you know very well that I absolutely love my any metal songs that touch upon the subject of war. Mostly because there are so many different variations out there, and it's partly about thinking about exactly what war involves through relatives, their books, novels, any accounts of history that anyone could have gone through to be inspired to write such works like For the Greater Good of God or for Disposable Heroes. And some of those are absolute. You guys already probably know that Disposable Heroes is, in my opinion, about as good as almost any metal song could possibly get. There are, however, some exceptions to this. However, before I start divulging a bit too much, one thing I always sort of I'm beginning to get a little bit of a pattern of is that Iron Maiden through the 2000s, and I think it's mostly because of how much Brave New World sort of stuck with me when I did that entire album about a year or so ago. It's that there were lots of parts of For the Greater Good of God that reminded me so much of stuff like Blood Brothers. Please tell me now what life is. Please tell me now what love is. Tell me now what war is. Again, tell me what life is. Is he is Bruce meant to be talking to God, or is he meant to be talking to somebody who is pointing a gun to somebody's head? Is he meant to be talking about innocence, or is he talking about the futility of innocence that is wasted on people who claim to be fighting for God, but in reality they have no idea that if God could actually speak to them now, he would be telling them to put their guns down, because God, Allah, Buddha, they are people who do not particularly care for aggressors. They do not like people who instill or want to command and start violence. I'm saying that because regardless of whether or not what Bruce's beliefs may be, what Steve's beliefs may be, Smith, Nico, Murray, regardless of maybe even what your opinions are, my opinions still stand as that, again, killing 10 million people because apparently that's going to make God happy solves nothing. In fact, it makes God more unhappy than you could possibly, than you obviously intended. Because let's just think about this for a second. When there once, ladies and gentlemen, was a man in history who was responsible for the deaths of over 6 million innocent people, and he called that social improvement. Do you particularly think it was worthwhile? Do you think he's not being heralded as a mighty crusader? No, obviously not. Or, if you want to go for an even further example, what about Genghis Khan, a man responsible for the deaths of over 40 million people? Innocent or otherwise, it's the comparable to how many people are slaughtered is the blood on Genghis Khan's hands. And I could go on about this for goodness knows how many figures in history, good or bad, is that what use is there in killing for its own sake? Because again, and I don't particularly know how well this is going to go down, especially towards some people who've even for people who are on very mixed terms when it comes to subjects of war. even through the people that say were victorious in history, the quote unquote good guys, the allies, for example, they still had to kill other people. Nazi, Russians, Japanese, Chinese, whatever. It's the fact is that how can anybody be morally in the correct when it comes to kill anybody? What makes you so different from those people that gives you the authority to end their lives? That's my question, because I'm now starting to, I don't know whether it's just because I'm starting to now look at both at things from both sides, but you know what? I have to, if I'm going to be fair, I have to be impartial in just about every circumstance. Whether you kill, and whether it's one person that's being killed or possibly 100,000, it's never right on any account, because what gives you the authority? It's and I repeat myself for that particular purpose, is that if you generally feel as if like the road to peace is literally the only way to attain peace in this world is to murder, kill, name hundreds of millions of people, because apparently that's going to make the big man upstairs happy, then you better go and find yourself a different religion, because that for me is not what it's all about at all. Are you a man of peace or a man of holy war? Too many sides to you, don't know which anymore. So many full of life but also filled with pain. Don't know just how many will live to breathe again. A life that's made to breathe destruction or defense. A mind that's vain, corruption, bad or good intent. A wolf in sheep's clothing, or saintly or sinner. Or some that would believe a holy war winner. The only route, and Steve makes a very, very strong point about this, is that who are we really? People who worship... This is kind of like similar to what I said in East Jesus Nowhere by Green Day a couple of videos ago, is that if we really do claim to be men of God, people who go to church, the synagogue, the temple, whatever it, or the synagogue or the mosque or whatever it may be, if we are going to call ourselves followers of that religion at all, it means following the rules that were set out, following, for example, the Ten Commandments, or what it says in the Torah, or the 5 pillars of Islam. That includes loving God with all your soul, heart, and mind. It also includes parts, let's say part of the 5 pillars, in which one of them is to go to Mecca once a year. Stuff like that. If you're going to call yourself somebody doing something for the love of God at all, if you're going to be that openly religious about... if you're going to take your religion that seriously, and I'm somebody who takes my religion quite seriously, is that you've got to see it through. There can't be any half measures. You can't compromise your opinions just because it conveniences you to look the other way. If Jesus had just looked the other way, what do you suppose would have come from stories like the woman who was going to be stoned to death because of her adultery? And in case you don't remember exactly what happened in that story, Jesus straight up said, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." I.e., what is the use in pointing fingers at each other when we should be learning how to get along with each other? And I admit that's a very, very genuine point. Is that is her crime really that terrible that she deserves to be condemned to death for it? No, not really. And again, I'm also a man who believes in justice, who believes in justice for the suffering. But think about it, ladies and gentlemen. The crime, in my opinion, should the punishment should fit the crime. And I don't know if that includes a woman being forbidden to be married to any man, or even if it was the other way around, a man who was who was a frequent adulterer and going around having all sorts of relationships with other women. Do you think there should be a system in place in which he can't do that, because there's a routine of manipulation and manana involved about all of this? So it's not fair on them. It shouldn't be. It isn't fair, and it shouldn't really continue as far as I can see it. So the point I'm trying to get at is that, well, basically what Steve is coming up to next: more pain and misery in the history of mankind. Sometimes it seems more like the blind leading the blind. It brings upon us more of famine, death, and war. You know, religion has a lot to answer for. Or rather, the people that are so blind to what is actually told in the scriptures, in the Torah, in the Quran, in the Bible. People who straight up... I get, you know what, I get, they say it better than I could, the blind leading the blind. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, if I had it my way, I would have like a complete... If I had my way to direct what religion would be on this planet, I would have it set in stone exactly what should be what and what should be carried out. I wouldn't have really any half measures, because even though morality is not black and white, you've got to lay out the circumstances that it says if it is forbidden to kill and somebody goes ahead and kills and you bring him to justice, punishment should fit the crime, as I just said. Or you should have him work back in society. I don't know, maybe have him sit on a treadmill, or maybe for like on like one of those bike machines for like 14 hours a day, powering electricity back into the world, or doing something to contribute for what he's done. I still wouldn't release a man who killed somebody, because you take away his life, we should take away yours, but we'll put you to better use than you were in society. Whether or not there's any sense of like reformation or forgiveness from this individual is, again, very highly questionable, if you were to ask me properly. So maybe, again, tough love will probably be the thing, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to really want to be like too vengeful about it. I would want to like extract a system that would work from just about all sides. But then again, how exactly can you have justice if...
Rest in peace, Pop Smoke! Arr, arr, arr.
How can you really claim to have like justice involved if instead of putting somebody to death, you're going to keep him alive and feed him and water him in prison? And how much is he technically contributing back to society for what he's done? Is it going to be enough to overcome the suffering of the family, relatives, friends of the man he has just killed? Is it really that... Is it that just? Is it that fair? And all because of it, you'd think that we would learn, but still the bloody count, the city fires burn. Somewhere there's someone dying in a foreign land. Meanwhile, the world is crying, stupidity of man. Tell me why, tell me why. Tell me now what life is. Please tell me now what love is. Well, tell me now what war is. Again, tell me now what life is. The stupidity of man. There's just... I wish there were better ways that Iron Maiden could put it, but you know what? They can't. I think they just about said it better than anyone else could. The stupidity... Just look at the world we're living in because of the stupidity of man. Like, the UK has the highest number of deaths by the coronavirus than anywhere else in Europe, which... There's no two ways about it. This is so fixable. This never needed to have come to this. Or I could say it could have taken a lot more to say to one Chinese person in the center of Wuhan, do not eat that bat, or you're going to be partly responsible for the deaths of over 500,000 people. And it's useless to say stuff that 500,000 people deserve to die. Nobody, in my heart of hearts, nobody truly deserves to die, because why? What does that solve? That solves about as much as actually killing somebody or killing millions of people. But you have to wonder what on earth was going through the mind of some people to attempt to be that stupid. The legacy of that man will be I caused a global pandemic and caused the deaths of up and coming over 500,000 people. Do you want that to be your legacy, ladies and gentlemen? Do you want to be remembered somebody who was so stupid to have resulted in the deaths of millions and hundreds of thousands of innocent people? Is that what you want? Well, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to adopt my tough love act again, then stop being so bloody stupid then. Actually do something that is going to contribute to the world. Something that is going to benefit the universe and mankind as a whole. You know what? I'm old enough to realise that we live on planet Earth. This is the human race. People will go to no ends to express their stupidity and claim that they killed a whole bunch of people because God apparently told them to. I'm expecting people to make stupid remarks like that. That is not surprising for me anymore. What is surprising is that it's resulted in more deaths, in making more people miserable. It's resulted in all of this when it didn't need to be. Because if we actually read or had any sort of inkling as to what was going on in people's lives, or if they actually claim to know anything about religion and why they do not like aggressive people, and yet they carry out any... I'm hacked off when people who make excuses, and because I'm not making excuses. I've been friggin' looking for work for literally since the end of my last job back in the 20th of December 2019, and you know what? I friggin' could have been in work months ago, but because of COVID-19, everyone has been furloughed. Nobody is taking any. There are so many places in which hundreds of thousands of people are waiting to sign up. So it makes the chances of anybody else who's having any chance whatsoever to get back into work, to have to have like an actual sort of like wage, it's making life more and more difficult. But I don't want to be like that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to, as bitter as I might sound now, I don't want to repay the people by doing that, by eating, let's say, a rotten piece of crocodile and then killing the whole of Europe. I do not want to do that, because you know what I rather want to do? I'd rather contribute back to society. I'd rather do something that's going to benefit someone else. Making somebody else happy is what it should be about. Not condemning innocent people to death. That is not what it should be about. And you know what? We're going to end this video on a slightly different note, ladies and gentlemen, because I still enjoyed the hell out of for the greater good of God, no matter what, because I suppose you could say it forced me to open up about how I feel about people who make excuses, and maybe reflecting some of Steve Harris's or maybe Bruce's sort of, maybe the whole of Iron Maiden for that matter, about their opinions on the world and what they really do think about the human race after stuff like that. But just to end this video off, ladies and gentlemen, for those who still are unconvinced about what I said before about violence is okay because God told us to, well, I'm gonna read you a little poem actually that should see those people otherwise sold. So, brother will kill brother, spilling blood across the land. Killing for religion is something I don't understand. Fools like me who cross the sea and come to foreign lands, ask the sheep for their beliefs, do you kill on God's command? A country that's divided surely will not stand. My past erased, no more disgrace, no foolish naive stand. The end is near, it's crystal clear, part of the master plan. Don't look now to Israel, it might be your homelands. Holy wars. Upon my podium, as the know-it-all scholar, down in my seat of judgment, gavels bang, uphold the law. Up on my soapbox, a leader, out to change the world. Down in my pulpit, as the holier than now could be messenger of God. Wage the war on organized crime, sneak attacks, rappel down the rocks behind the lines. Some people risk to employ me, some people live to destroy me. Either way they die, they die. They killed my wife and my baby with hopes to enslave me. First mistake, last mistake. Paid by the Alliance to slay all the giants. Next mistake, no more mistakes. Fill the cracks in with judicial granite, because I don't say it, don't mean I ain't thinking it. Next thing you know, they'll take my thoughts away. I know what I said, now I must scream of the overdose, and the lack of mercy killings. Mercy killings, mercy killings, 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 killings. Next thing you know, they'll take my thoughts away.